The Relative Effectiveness of Active Listening in Initial Interactions, a Summary. The article was authored by Harry Wager, Jr., Gina Castle-Bell, Elizabeth M. Manet, and Melissa C. Robinson, presented by Laurie Garnes. The authors first define the term active listening by providing several expert references and providing a basic consensus among scholars of the term. They go on to discuss how listening impacts initial interactions by reviewing other studies that have referenced this skill in such situations. Finally, they compare the advantages of active listening techniques with studies that found that active listening was not the favored response to a crisis. The authors posit that the active listening provides rewarding interaction outcomes by expressing understanding of a partner's message, creating positive effect during the interaction, and by creating affiliation between partners. Page 17. They present three possible hypotheses. 1. People in initial interactions experience higher levels of feeling understood when the interaction partner engages in active listening compared to giving advice or enacting simple acknowledgments. Page 18. 2. People in initial interactions experience higher levels of communication satisfaction when the interaction partner engages in active listening compared to giving advice or enacting simple acknowledgments. Page 18. 3. People in initial interactions experience more social attraction to an interaction partner when the partner engages in active listening compared to giving advice or enacting simple acknowledgments. Page 19. Participants were undergraduate students in an introductory communications course. 3 types of responses were provided: active listening techniques, simple acknowledgments, and advice giving. The students were given about 6 hours of training in these types of responses. The students met with uninvolved students in a controlled setting and used predetermined responses to provide discussion topics. Uninvolved participants were then asked to complete questionnaires regarding the dependent measures of perceived understanding, communication satisfaction, and social attraction. Videos were then rated by independent assistants to determine if the Confederate students conformed to the experiment. The first hypothesis was upheld, indicating that active listening provided more perceived understanding. The second hypothesis was partially upheld, in that the results indicated that active listening provided more conversational satisfaction than simple acknowledgments, but not more than advice giving. The third hypothesis was also partially upheld, showing that active listening provided more social attraction than simple acknowledgment, but again, not more than advice giving. The authors discuss how support for the first hypothesis may have theoretical and practical appeal in fields of counseling and communication design due to the corroboration that active listening promotes understanding and acceptance. The statistical equivalence of active listening and advice giving in hypothesis 2 and 3 suggests that people respond to listeners' overall level of responsiveness regardless of the form it takes. Page 24. They also provide the caveat that the nature of the conversations, fairly mundane, needs to be considered, and future research should include more salient topics. They also discuss the possibility that the nature of the topics may have made unsolicited advice an expectation in the conversation. The impact of the findings was discussed for future studies, including allowing for different types of dyads and adding a control with alternate listening response strategies. The benefits of learning active listening were discussed for initial interaction situations, such as first dates and interviews. The limitations of the experiment include not taking nonverbal cues into account. It also did not carry the expectation of future interactions. The experiment also did not include a wide variety of ages, races, and backgrounds. Each of these factors may provide changes to the outcome.